Greetings all fans, this is attorney Jeffrey Howard joining you again on my video blog. Today we're going to talk about how the court tries to figure out whether or not you are an independent contractor or an employee. Now, why is this important, Jeff? Glad you asked. Of course you're going to be taxed differently. Your withholding is going to be different if they're withholding it all for you. If you're an independent contractor, probably not. But more importantly, health, retirement, and workers' compensation benefits are going to be very different depending on if you're an independent contractor or an employee. If you are an independent contractor, you are not entitled to workers' compensation benefits under North Carolina law. So that's really important stuff. Now, the only truly definitive answer to the question is when both parties agree. In other words, if an employer and employee are saying, yeah, I'm the employer, they're the employee, well, there you go. Or if both are saying, yeah, independent contractor, yep, independent contractor. Well, there you go. Those are really the only definitive answers you're going to have. If there's a dispute as to whether or not the person is an independent contractor or an employee, the court looks at certain factors known as the Hayes factors. And I'm going to go over them as briefly as I can, at the same time trying to do them justice, so to speak. The first one is the person engaged in an independent business, calling, or occupation? A good example of this is if, let's say, the person is an electrician. You know, there are a lot of people out there who do electrician work who aren't employees of anybody else. They just have a little electrician thing and they work on little jobs. Now, if the person, on the other hand, is answering the phone for a business, they probably aren't an independent contractor. They're probably an employee because it's not an independent business calling or occupation. They're answering the phone. They're working for the person. That's a pretty easy one. The second one is, do they have the independent use of their skill, knowledge, or training in the execution of the work? That's pretty self-explanatory. Another way to say it is the person micromanaged? Do they have to do it in a certain way as dictated by the supervisor or employer, we might call them? The more they're micromanaged, the more likely they're an employee. Are they doing a specified piece of work at a fixed price or for a lump sum or upon a quantitative basis? Another way to look at that is what triggers payment. Are they constantly on payroll on a time basis, hourly, salary, or what have you? Or do they turn in a piece of work and they get paid for that piece of work? If it's the latter, more likely to be an independent contractor. Is the person subject to discharge because he adopts one method of doing the work as opposed to another? Once again, that goes back to the micromanagement thing. The more you're micromanaged, the more you are probably going to be defined as an employee. Is the person not in the regular employ of the other contract, of the other contracting party? Sorry. Another way to look at that is, does the person have a lot of clients? Back to our electrician example, if I have Jeffy's electrician business and I have tons and tons of clients, well, I'm probably an independent contractor that does work for contractors or other businesses out there. Probably not an employee of anything other than Jeffy's electrician business. On the other hand, if I'm an electrician that works solely for one other person and only does that business for that person, then there's a good chance I'm going to be an employee. The next one is the person free to use such assistance as he thinks proper? And then the next one we'll go into right now, and does he have full control over such assistance? Those two go together, so it's good to talk about them at the same time. Back to the electrician example, if I'm employing lots of assistants and the person who has hired me doesn't care how I use those assistants or what I pay them or whatnot, then probably an independent contractor. If I can't do that, I'm probably not an employee. Yeah, exactly. So, the big thing in this is not one of these individually will control or define the situation. The finder of fact can factor all of these in differently and give them different weight. Just depends on what these particular answers are to the questions. Some of them really lend themselves to making the person seem like an independent contractor, and others not as much, but they're all important. The upshot is, just because you're getting 1099 doesn't mean you're necessarily not going to be entitled to workers' comp because you're an independent contractor. There are some employers out there who will try to fudge things a bit to make it seem like you're an independent contractor when in fact you're not. If you're in that situation, you should give a workers' comp lawyer a call. Thanks for joining me again. Hope you found this information useful. And if you have any questions, call me at 919-929-2992 or 888-929-5241. Thanks.